All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're here to provide some additional updates regarding the wildfires that are burning in Clackamas County. My name is Captain Brandon Paxton, and as we get going today, I will introduce a number of speakers who are here with us. From the Southwest Incident Management Team, number 1, the Incident Commander Alan Sinclair, Oregon State Fire Marshal Incident Commander Lance Leidy, Nancy Bush, the Clackamas County Disaster Management Director, Dr. Sarah Present, Clackamas County Public Health Officer, and Sheriff Craig Roberts of Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. So we'll be taking questions at the end from all of our reporters who are with us today, and there have been a number of evacuation changes that have been sent out, and it's important to note all those are referenced on the map behind me. So with that said, I would like to introduce Alan Sinclair.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Sinclair, Incident Commander for Southwest Area Team Number 1. Our team was brought in a couple days ago, and it was on the day that the big evacuation took place. We were shadowing the local incident commanders at that time. You know, the experience that everybody went through prior to us getting here, the 72 hours of initial attack with very active fire behavior was significant. And I would like to just state that the leadership that I saw during that evacuation was very impressive. There's a lot of folks working together, and you know, it can be pretty confusing at first when you're kind of on your heels faced with a very significant fire event. What our team's doing now is working with the plan that was set in place by the initial attack resources and working with all the cooperators here locally that have input into the way we'll be moving forward. Some of those include the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office, the Oregon Department of Forestry, the U.S. Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, and then all the departments within Clackamas County, you know, fire and other public services. So we're working together now. You'll start seeing more information coming from the team, and we'll be talking about what the firefighters are doing directly on the lines. You'll start in the coming days to see some lines showing containment. But you know, that work started prior to us getting here, and I want to make that clear. You know, our team's coming into a situation where we're having a little bit more favorable weather, and you know, things are coming together. So the work that was done was impressive. The command climate during the evacuation was really impressive to me. I don't see that all the time. We're a Type 1 national team. We go all over the country. And so I just want to impress on everybody that the collaboration and everybody working together was impressive. So we'll be here for 2 weeks or so, working with everybody, and I look forward to talking to everybody again. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Lance Leidy, Incident Commander from the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office. I'd like to just start out by thanking Alan Sinclair and their team coming in, the professionalism they have and the process that they provide. I have a lot of faith in their ability to help us with this fire. I'm here to kind of report out on the North Cascade Complex, be the Dowdy, the Unger, and the Wildfires fires. I'll give you guys some numbers on estimated containments and the acres on those. So at the Wildfires fire, we have 776 acres. It is 100% contained. Unger fire, 378 acres, 100% contained. Dowdy fire, 1,500 acres, 20% contained. And the Graves Road fire is 45 acres, 20% contained. We are also in unified command, not only with the Type 1 team from the Southwest, but also with the ODF on a separate agreement on those fires I just read off. So this information is from the Oregon Department of Forestry. We had quite a meeting yesterday. As you know, resources are short throughout the state, And we were able to align resources throughout the state's needs for the structural protection piece. We are committed to keep the 10 task forces we have here on these 2 incidents that I'm assisting in managing to the completion until we feel comfortable with the ODF team and the federal team to make sure the fires are secured and the structures have no more threat. Damage assessment currently is being done as we speak by the Clackamas Fire Department. They've graciously offered some staff to go out and look at the structures that have damage and start assessing those so we can start planning accordingly for those. So that is the end of my report, and Nancy Bush will be your next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon. I am Nancy Bush, and I am the Director of Disaster Management here in Clackamas County. My first message to you is to please be safe. As you could tell, our visibility conditions are quite poor, which is also causing our driving conditions to be poor. So please make sure that you allow extra time if you're driving, and make sure that you're allowing extra stopping distances. And actually consider if travel is necessary. I'm also asking if you live in Clackamas County to please limit your water use. Every drop is needed for our firefighters in order to use the water to save someone's home. If you haven't already, please sign up for our public alerts. To keep up with the changing situation, go to the Clackamas County page at clackamas.us and use the prompts from there. Also, check out our Clackamas County Facebook page and if you need help in signing up for our public alerts. Again, please be safe. And now I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Sarah Present, who is with our County Health Department.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Sarah Present. I'm the Public Health Officer for Clackamas County. I'm going to talk briefly about the health effects of the air quality at this time. Right now, our region is experiencing the worst air quality in the world, and it's absolutely having an impact on people's health. The air is not just unhealthy, it's in the hazardous range. Everyone can have health effects from this smoke, and it's especially dangerous for our most vulnerable populations. First, I want to define the PM, or particulate matter. The overall AQI, or Air Quality Index, is based on many chemicals and particles found in the air. The current hazardous alert is now PM 2.5, which are particles of a size that are 2.5 microns or smaller. These are dangerous because they can get past our body's first lines of defense, such as nasal hair, and get deeper into the lungs than larger particles can. Those most at risk include people with underlying lung or heart disease. We know that air quality can worsen asthma or COPD, lead to increased heart attacks, irregular heart rhythms, and even death. The more vulnerable populations also include the elderly, generally 65 and older, pregnant women, and children. Elderly people and people with diabetes are more likely to have underlying cardiovascular disease that could be exacerbated by the poor air quality. Pregnant women's extra blood circulation and possible risks to the fetus are of concern. And children are particularly sensitive to smoke because their respiratory systems are still developing, their airways are smaller, and their breathing rate per their body size is greater than for adults. So the bottom line right now is please stay inside. Check on your friends, your family, and your neighbors who may be struggling. Listen and watch and get information at Oregon Air Quality Index or at airnow.gov. Thank you. I'll now introduce Craig Roberts, Sheriff of Clackamas County.
Hi again, my name is Craig Roberts, Sheriff of Clackamas County, and I want to really start it off by extending my thanks to all the first responders that both locally, nationally, we're thrilled to have the national team here, and just a big thanks to all our local partners really in the region that have stepped up to help. I want to recognize one group of folks that are often left out, and those are our dispatchers. They're taking literally thousands of calls for service. We've had to relocate the 911 center, which is a big task in itself. And so I want to make sure that I extend my personal thanks to the hard work that they're doing. I have some good news on evacuation status. Last night, we changed evacuation levels in some cities and surrounding areas. So in Canby, Oregon City, Gladstone, and Happy Valley, All these areas were lowered from a level 2 to level 1. Today, the following cities of Wilsonville, Lake Oswego, West Lynn, Happy Valley, Tualatin, Gladstone, and Milwaukee are now outside the evacuation area. So at this time, all other areas remain unchanged. Again, please check the Clackamas County website for the wildfire evacuation map. As you can see up on the right-hand corner, you can actually type in your address, and it will locate where you are in the evacuation zone. I want to talk about a couple updates on the curfew. Today, we're updating the curfew due to the state of emergency in Clackamas County. The curfew is in effect from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., and now it only applies within level 2 and 3 evacuation areas. Another issue that is a community concern that continues to, we receive calls on it, have to do with criminal activity that is in the evacuated areas. I want folks to know within the last 2-day period, we've responded to over 330 calls for service. That's really a 400% increase in that area from the previous week. But with that being said, which I continue to encourage people to call 911, what we're finding is in most of those cases, the largest majority of those calls are suspicious persons, people trespassing. We have made some arrests, but I want to make it clear that the majority of those calls are actually unfounded. There's a lot of panic and alert going on with the belief that people are running around setting fires. And I want to just clarify for the record that I'll give you an example of some situations. We had a truck with gasoline containers in the back of it. 911 call came in. Our folks were responding to it. It appeared suspicious. It was driving around. When we finally tracked it down, contacted the individual, he was actually delivering gas to folks that had generators in the area that they were trying to keep their refrigerators and other things running. So there's just a lot of misinformation about folks trying to set fires. I want to reassure everybody that we are on this, and I encourage you, if you see anything suspicious, to call us. The other thing I want to point out is I've been out there personally. The evacuation area, there are very few people out there. So our law enforcement officers, if we see somebody out there, they stand out like a sore thumb, and we're all over it. So I want to continue to reassure the community that we are doing our very best to keep your homes and property safe while you're gone. The other thing I want to highlight is, or bring to your attention is, we have a group of different individuals that are actually trying to protect property. They're actually have been armed and stopping individuals within the community out there. First thing I'd ask them to do is please stop that. We have reached out to a number of them. If they see somebody suspicious, call us, let us handle it. It's illegal to stop somebody at gunpoint. And many of the people that we have seen going into these areas are actually going in to get maybe another load of their personal belongings. So the last thing I want to see is anything tragically happen because somebody's overreacting to something they believe is criminal and it's not. So with that being said, I want the people of this county and state to know one thing, is that this entire group is working tirelessly, coming together to figure out how we can do our very best to keep our communities safe. I couldn't be more proud of the teamwork, and when we're in a high-stress situation like this, I can tell you that we are all coming together. The stress might be a little bit higher, but we're coming out with an amazing plan and doing an amazing job keeping our communities safe. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the presentations from our speakers. I would be happy to open it up to questions from the media. Maggie from KGW.
Hi, Maggie Vessa with KGW. I think this question might be answerable by a few of you. We've had some people asking about the level 3 zone, why those lines haven't been moved back, or some communities in that haven't been reduced to 2 or 1, watching the other evacuation zones be reduced. So I'm curious if you can speak to the science of that, or why, especially those on the outer perimeter, are still in level 3.
Sure. How about we start with a representative from the overhead team out of the federal, Ralph Lucas from our operations team, managing the Riverside fire, and then we can transition back to the sheriff for updated information.
Yeah, so thank you for that question, and the answer is pretty simple. It's all about public safety. You know, there is a lot of infrastructure and stuff that is damaged out there. So we have to make sure the roadways are cleared, there are weakened trees, there's electrical wires down, there might be damaged structures out there, and things that can be hazardous to the general public. You know, we're trained, we have professionals out there on the ground. I just got out of a meeting with some of the PGE folks talking about their infrastructure and stuff like that, and it would just be counterintuitive to send people back into their homes when there could be live electrical lines and things like that down if they were to drive over it and stuff like that. We've got to get all that infrastructure back up, out of the way, and taken care of before we can put people in there for their own safety.
Sheriff, did you want to elaborate on the evacuation, or did that answer your question, Maggie?
It did.
Okay. I think we're good. Anything else?
Can we talk about the firefighter shortage? We spoke with firefighters yesterday, both who are remaining in urban areas and those who are actually on the front lines of these fires. And it's been a national headline that there is a major shortage. And for people who are looking at this and they're hearing this is the new normal, that's really frightening. So just how was that addressed? And what does this mean moving forward in future fire seasons?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to, again, introduce Chief Lucas, and you're probably just going to stand up here with me.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Wow, it has been an arduous season for the entire industry and group of firefighters, not only in the wildland arena, but as well as the structural arena. And I have been ordering firefighters like crazy, and it goes through a system, and the typical response is UTF, unable to fill. So we're literally out of firefighters and equipment due to the sheer magnitude of fires that are occurring in the western United States. So then it comes down to prioritizing. So we have area command teams that come over us, even as type 1 teams. They come over us and start prioritizing resources. So we have to feed information to them on a daily basis, and we have to have very succinct information about what's going on to get prioritized to get the equipment we need. I will tell you that the Riverside fire is priority number 1 to the area command team that is overseeing us in the prioritization of resources. And I just received a call from them while I was driving over here, and I can't wait to talk to them because I need about 35 engines. So that's how it works.
You know, we keep hearing that this is an unprecedented fire season. With our climate, should people be prepared for more fire seasons like this in the future?
Sure, and I can speak to that. I think it's important to start planning for defensible space, and we encourage that every year, and that's basically taking those steps to ensure your property is well maintained and well prepared in the event of a wildfire. We've seen this devastation occur right in our backyard, and so really we're encouraging people to take those steps to prepare their home. So create that wide berth, get branches up off the ground, clear the needles off of your property, move wood piles away from the property. You know, we can't necessarily predict what's going to happen, but I think the steps we can take is preparation.
And kind of jumping off that, we hear about asking people not to use water. Can we put that in sort of a tangible amount as far as how dire is the supply? Like, is that just sort of a best case or best practice, or is this actually a problem, and are we nearing running out of water to fight these fires?
Sure, Nancy, did you want to?
Yes, thank you for the question. So we have been working with our water providers as well as our firefighters, and there have been some issues with some of the pressure in parts of some of the systems. And so that's why we're asking everyone to conserve water as much as they can here in Clackamas County, because we need to keep that water pressure up. You know, and like watering lawns and that kind of stuff is actually, you know, pulling from that, because we obviously need, you know, that pressure to do what we need to do with the fires. So that's why it's just preemptive to, you know, have everyone to be aware that when you water your lawn or do some other things, wash your car, that it does impact our system.
It is preemptive at this point.
It is preemptive at this point.
It was said that we're starting to be able to go in and kind of assess the damage that we're seeing. Can we get a description at all of what we're seeing? Is it worse than maybe people expect, or?
Yeah, I think at this point, the crews are just now starting to go out and do that within this last operational period, so we don't have any updated information coming back to the field. So at this point, no, there's no way to know.
Question for Dr. Present, actually, about the air quality. What you were describing and the size of the particles. Right now, obviously, everybody's thinking about COVID. Can you talk about what that means in the framework of the pandemic?
Yeah, thank you. The fact that we have these devastating fires at the same time that we're in an active pandemic of COVID-19 is very complicated and tragic. So my main message is that people should remain indoors. They should protect themselves from the hazardous air quality that we have by staying inside and circulating their air inside. Ideally, that also means that they are not exposing themselves to new communities, new families, et cetera, and not increasing risk of COVID-19. We do know that many, many people have had to evacuate their homes, and they may be staying with family, they may be staying in shelters, they may be staying in new places and exposing new people or being exposed by new people. The number one priority right now is safety and life. And we just ask that people continue to wear the cloth face coverings while you're indoors with people that you have not been exposed to before. If you're in new places and cannot maintain that 6-foot distance, keep those face coverings on because they do protect against COVID-19 spread. They may not protect against the particulate matter. There are certain masks that are specifically designed to filter out the PM 2.5, and that's really the N95 masks. However, to really protect from PM 2.5, those need to be very well fitted. If there are leaks and cracks around, then you're going to pull in that air anyways, and they're really not protective. So we'd like for people to reserve those for our frontline workers, for our medical personnel, and only use the PM 2.5 masks if you need to be outdoors working for an extended period of time to help you protect from the air quality. Otherwise, please stay indoors.
To kind of follow up on that, I guess, do the smaller air particles that you spoke of make the virus more spreadable, or do we know? That's frightening for people to hear, given that we know this is an airborne virus.
Absolutely. We don't know. We do know that having underlying lung disease increases your risk of having adverse effects from COVID-19. We also know that having underlying heart disease increases your risk of adverse effects or bad outcomes if you get COVID-19. The ability for the immune system to fight the virus potentially could be impaired if you have increased particulate matter in your lungs. We really don't know enough about this virus to know how they're going to interact.
We also have a question coming in from Facebook, and the question is, how long can people stay in the convention center? And Nancy, if you wouldn't mind addressing that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, great question. Thank you. So first, Metro, who owns the convention center, has been great partners through all of this. We work with them daily, and at this time, we do not have a date of when we would have to move people out of the convention center. And we do work with them. And again, Metro has just been great partners in working with us, as well as Multnomah County, to help us staff that.
Maggie, it looks like you got a question. It's okay.
Sheriff Roberts, we've been getting a lot of questions about the 911 calls that you talked about. We've heard from people who are guarding their homes in level 3 areas because they are afraid of looters. And then we've also gotten a lot of questions about the people that you talked about who are armed and they're stopping people. And in those cases, we've been getting questions as to why, as you said, it's illegal, they're not being charged. So just, your take on sort of that barrage of these, we've had, sort of conspiracy theories they've been called, and the panic that, as you said, it's created. So to answer the questions that we're getting on social media, why aren't those people being charged? Like, what's your take on that? And then just also your maybe thoughts to people who are staying behind to guard their homes because they are so scared.
Yeah, I think first and foremost that I want to reassure folks that what we're doing And we're not just stepping up patrol a little bit. I can tell you cities throughout Clackamas County, Multnomah County, and many other police agencies are coming here to help us step up that patrol to keep the community safe. So when we're out there, I would say it is excessively heavy patrolled area. There are some citizens with good intentions of trying to protect property and making sure that they're aware that this is the law, you cannot do this. We are getting compliance from those individuals once we've talked to them and explained, hey, here is this, what we want you to do is call. And that is why I'm reaching out right now in this public forum to say, listen, stop. For those that we haven't talked to, I'm warning you that if that behavior continues, we will have to hold those individuals accountable. So right now, please call 911. We'll handle it. And the last thing any of us want is somebody, accidentally taking the life of somebody that is just trying to help out. And that's our concern. So once again, I want to reiterate that there's a tremendous amount of patrol out there. As I said, I've been out there myself personally, and I feel comfortable that we have a lot of patrol out there keeping homes and properties safe. So thanks.
All right, we've got one more, time for one more question. Anything else from the audience? We are getting questions also related to the evacuation levels and is it due to smoke. Obviously, as things change, we would encourage people to reference the map behind me at the Clackamas County website. That's going to be the most up-to-date and accurate place to find that information. And just to reiterate, there is no change in the level 3 evacuations. So as we close, I'd also like to leave us with, I'm just going to hold this, leave us with the fact that we're humbled by the donations that are coming in. We are overwhelmed by the outpouring of support and generosity. We are so gracious, and thank you so much for the support. Our firefighters feel that, and that's really nice to have that support. With that said, we can't take any more physical donations, so what we'd like to do is encourage people to donate financially if they can. And we have a great resource that keeps all those funds here within Clackamas County. That's the Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation, and on their website, cesf.us. It's a great location. It's their mission is to basically help those who have been impacted by tragedy. So certainly that's the circumstance here in Clackamas County, and we would encourage people to donate there so the funds can stay local. So with that, please be safe. We feel the support, and thank you very much.